I'm Matt Wilson for Privateer Press, and you're watching Play Unplugged TV.
Greetings, Enrico Nardini here from PlayUnplugged.com, and I'm joined by Matt Wilson, the creator of the Iron Kingdoms, and Will Schick, the director of, help me out.
Business.
Director of?
Director of business.
Awesome. And we're here to talk a little bit about Privateer Press. I'll start this off. I'd like to start off some of my interviews with a story, probably because I have a mustache. I'm not 100% sure why, but way back in the day, I played this adventure series called the Witchfire Trilogy. You might.
I heard of that one.
You familiar with that?
I am.
Awesome. And later, they came out with these box sets of beautiful metal miniatures, and we started playing this game called War Machine. And now it's like a phenomenon. So, I want you guys to explain your jobs and things like that. But one of the things is miniature games come and go, Matt. And there are companies that have beautiful miniatures and great concepts and great ideas. What do you feel like has made Privateer Press stand apart and like kind of grow and succeed where maybe some other games have faltered?
I think that the main thing that's helped us is just the people behind making the games and the people behind supporting it. We have an incredible crew of people who work on these products that are dedicated to getting all the hard work required to promote and manufacture and distribute these miniatures games. And then we also have an incredible body of volunteers called the Press Gang that's 500 or 600 strong now and represents us all over the world and is committed to the growth of the communities around War Machine and Hordes, and that's really what has kept us around.
Awesome. Will, same question to you.
Well, I think there's just an experience that you get from Privateer Press. Even because I came in as a player, right? I wasn't on the ground floor. I played the games first, loved them. And one of the things that always stood out to me was the sense of community, like not just with the players, right, but with the company. It's very much there's a public face. We try to be here, shake hands, talk to people. We love the games just as much as our players do, and there's a lot to be said for that, right? When you can put a name to the face. Like I shook Matt Wilson's hand in Gen Con 2007. All of a sudden, next year I had a job with him. Nothing to do with shaking the hand, but the fact was, I knew my boss before I ever stepped into the company. And I don't think there's a lot of places where you can actually say that, where you can be like, I had a personal talk with this guy about something that we're both passionate about.
Now, that actually gives me a segue onto a question that I have next. But before we go into that, I just want to go over quickly. Matt, you are the creator, but what does that entail as far as day-to-day? What's a day in the life for Matt Wilson at Privateer Press?
Well, my day-to-day has changed a lot over the last 10 years. So where early on I was very hands-on and pretty much involved in every single aspect of the company except for probably just the manufacturing. But even that, I was involved in organizing production and things like that. Now my day-to-day has transitioned to much more of a creative direction role. In fact, my official title is the Chief Creative Officer, and that means that I oversee, I like to call it the 5,000-foot view of everything that we're doing. So I approve things like concept design, our advertising, pretty much anything creative or visual, it passes by me at some point. I like to get involved at the inception of a project where we'll sit down and we'll discuss the goals, the vision, the direction of things, and I try and offer my guidance there at that point. And then periodically through the development and design process, I'll be involved in, like I said, an approval capacity or offering some experience that I think can help the product. The rest of the time I'm spending developing our properties into new mediums. So, for instance, the Monster Apocalypse sale that we did to DreamWorks last year with Tim Burton attached to direct the film, that was a goal with that property of setting it up as a film, and we're working on the War Machine video game with White Moon Dreams, and so these kinds of things I'm involved in helping to produce and oversee right now, and move our properties into these other mediums so that we can allow them to be experienced by other people, beyond the folks that can just engage in the hobby games themselves.
So working partially on the long view, but also still very hands-on.
Yeah, to some extent. I spend a good part of every day communicating with everybody at Privateer Press. So.
And Will, could you give us a little bit of background on what you do?
Sure. Well, I just recently stepped into the director of business role. Before that, I was the marketing manager, so I was in charge of all of the public stuff. I worked with our event coordinator, our press gang volunteer, our retail support, our front desk, our community manager, and all that to send out the message, to take back feedback, bring it back to the company, and make sure that we were meeting the needs of the customers and retailers, and that we were making the best game we can and getting the word out about all these great games that we do. Now, as the director of business, it's kind of my goal to plot the course so that in line with Matt's kind of overarching vision, and also to bring new ideas to him, because obviously I come from a gaming background. I love games just like a lot of people at the company. I have things that I think I'd like to see and that I think people will like and that Privateer can excel at, just like we did with War Machine and Hordes. And so it's a lot of directing kind of that plan and making a forward-thinking plan, and then working with everybody at Privateer to make sure that fits not only what the company needs to do and wants to do, but is going to make the best product at the end of the day that everyone's going to be able to enjoy. And so that's kind of where I am right now.
Awesome. So that actually, you talk about play, and I know I'm a huge fan of games. The viewers of Play Unplugged are huge fans of games. Matt, fan of games. So when it comes to Privateer Press stuff, what do you guys play? Like, what factions do you like? What do you like to paint? Like, what do you guys actually, what's Matt Wilson's army like? What's Will Schick's army like?
My army right now, I've got about 200 points of Signar, and I can play a 4-tier siege list, which is a lot of fun. It's got a lot of weapon crews in it, and a lot of warjacks. And then I also have a very large privateer force that was actually a gift to me by the staff of Privateer Press a few years ago for my birthday. So right after the privateers came out, or I think the following year or something, I walked in one day and on my desk there was 200 models there that had all been painted by the different staff members, and so it's definitely my favorite army right now, and I played that for a long, long time.
That's really cool. Well,
I actually play everything. I'm a bit of an ADD gamer when it comes down to it. Like, one of the things that I really enjoy in just about anything, but especially with War Machine and Hordes, is I never play the same Warcaster twice in a row, and I never play the same Warlock twice in a row. And so I kind of get these rotations where I'm like, that's really cool, and then I'll start working on that, and I'll do that once, and then I'm like, all right, so let's change it up. Let's try something else. My first two factions were Signar and Protectorate. Signar still has a very strong resonance with me. I've always kind of liked the good guys, the heroes, and there's something about blue. Like, I like painting the color blue. So immediately I'm like, oh, blue and electricity. That I can dig that. When it comes to the Horde side of things, Legion, I've always been a huge fan of dragons and mythology and that kind of thing. So throw in eyeless land sharks that just have giant gaping maws full of teeth, and like, that's a winner. I don't think you can beat that aesthetically. But I really enjoy playing everything. I like everything has a place and it has a reason and an attraction to me. So throw anything on the table and I'll be more than happy to play a game.
Okay, so I want to go back to some of the other things that I thought were good segues to talk about. One of the things you talked about is kind of this relationship that Privateer Press has with its fan base, and I think that one of the just recently on the website you guys had broke down and were talking about the production of okay, we're going to change our strategy because we're not meeting our production needs, and this is what we're going to do. And what I've seen from Privateer Press, and I've heard from a lot of fans of Privateer Press products, is there's an openness with your company, with its customer base, and people are really attached to that. It makes them feel like they're a part of what's going on. So is that a strong philosophy? Was that something that you went into right from the ground level? How did that develop?
It's always how we approached everything that we did at Privateer Press. I've always believed that transparency and honesty are the two most important qualities that we can have as a company. It allows us to always maintain our integrity and not have to compromise. If we screw up, we apologize, right? When things go sideways, we let people know. And in my experience, I've found that people are a lot more accommodating and sympathetic and understanding to the fact that life happens as long as you're straightforward with them. I think that the companies that try and obfuscate what they're doing or hide, an agenda, they end up running into trouble, and people will call foul on them, and as they should. So I think that the best thing that we can do is just be open and transparent. Everybody that makes up this company is a gamer, so we all have been on both sides of the line, so to speak, and so we know what it's like to be a fan, wondering what's going to happen with your favorite product or your favorite game or movie, comic, whatever, and people become really emotionally attached to these things. There's a lot of time invested in your army, a lot of money invested in there, and I think that people are always concerned that they've made a wise investment of their with their passion, and they want to know that that's protected and safe in the future, that these things are always going to be as sacred to them in the future as they are right now, and that's it's in our interest to protect that as well. So that's how we approach it.